Hey guys, this is T, and you're listening to the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix with Gar and Josh. Enjoy the show, and remember, stonks do go up.
It is Saturday, October 7th, 2023, 8:06 a.m. sharp. It is podcast number 154. And with that, hello everybody and welcome to the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix podcast. I am one of your... I forgot who the fuck I was for a second. I am one of your lovely hostess, the Garlic Johnson. We are joined, as always, by your other lovely hostess, the Joshua Mitchell. Josh, say hi to the folks on this somber Saturday morning.
Hey, folks, how's it going?
Whoa, Josh bringing the energy. Nothing somber about that. I was expecting more of the snuffleupagus. Hey, guys. We appreciate people who chat along in the Discord. We appreciate people who check out our segment start times in the description below. And we especially appreciate at Levi Oki Illustration on Instagram for all the beautiful art that the people can be seeing. Josh, how you doing, pal?
Oh, I'm doing, Gar. How is you?
You know what, Josh? I'd say I'm doing all right. We are living on the edge, brother. Anything exciting between Tuesday and this morning?
No. I don't remember.
No? Okay. How about... How's your next week look for you? I know next weekend is someone's second birthday party. That's got to be getting exciting. You're a week away. I'm sure Nikita has a full list of things that you need to get done, shit you need to do. Are you getting excited for that? Are you starting to get to work on that? Are you just going to, maybe vacuum before people show up and call her good?
Well, you see here, Nikita has, so his theme is, chugga chugga 2-2 because it's his second birthday, and he loves trains. So we have Nikita is smart, and she bought a wooden train to be assembled. It's like one of those it's like a 72-piece wooden train to be assembled. And I'm fairly certain that she told the company not to put instructions in it. And so she gave it to me and said, this is what I need you to do. So I get to assemble that. And it's taken, I've got most of it done, but I haven't gotten it glued up because I need to do a dry fit just to make sure that I got all the pieces in the correct spot, which is a good thing because I had a couple upside down without the up in directions. It was a little bit difficult. And so I'm getting close to that, but she gave that to me like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So she definitely planned that. So she'd be able to take control of everything and not let me mess anything up. So I'm sure that once I get that glued up, ready to go, she will say, here's the vacuum.
That's perfect. I mean, that's like a combination of Josh loves Legos. The Mitchell Wood shop has been dormant for a bit as far as I know. But she's like, you know what, babe? Get out there. More importantly, get the fuck out of my way. And then I'll see you at the party.
Yeah.
Excellent. Hold on. I really need to blow my nose here. It's not very professional, but if you want to intro the start sit, you go for it.
So welcome, folks. We have the start sit based on the Narfle League, the accuracy challenge. And so last week we had a pretty rough week, Gar. I don't know if you saw the stats, but last week you went over 5 and I went 2 for 5. So the only 2 that we were different on, I ended up getting correct. Didn't make much of a difference because you went negative 61.8, losing all of those bonus points that you had built up over the past few weeks.
No!
And I went negative 10.6. So now overall, you're sitting at 7 out of 15, just under 50% with a negative 1.1 differential. And I'm at 6 out of 15 with a negative 2.4 differential. So,
God damn it!
Yep, I closed that gap on you. But in the end, we both stink. And so going into this week, we're just to keep with the trend of us stinking, we're going to go with a bunch of matchups or start sits that I think stink because I wouldn't want to have any of these people in my leagues. And so starting with quarterbacks, Bryce Young at Detroit versus Zach Wilson at Denver. Gar, who you got?
Yeah, I mean, again, I made the same assessment as you pre-show. I was looking at all these players in the start sit today, and I was like, Jesus Christ! If I were making these choices, I have made some poor turns in my fantasy season so far. But looking at Bryce Young versus Zach Wilson, Bryce Young's already missed a game. In the 3 games he's played, he's had like 7.5 fantasy points, 13.5, and then just 7 as a QB for the Carolina Panthers. Moving over to Zach Wilson, he has only had 1 game above double digits, but it was the most recent game, and he's playing what apparently is one of the worst defenses in the league. So if I have to pick between these two, I'm going to pick Zach Wilson at Denver. I know he's on the road, but at least they showed some signs of life against the Chiefs, whereas Bryce Young has looked pedestrian so far. I know he's just a rookie. He could have a long, successful career eventually. But right now, making a decision for this week, I'm definitely going to take Zach Wilson at Denver.
Yeah, that's the route that I'm going as well. I do think that Denver's defense is the favorable matchup. Last year, nobody would have ever said that, but this year, apparently, they just decided not to play. Detroit is a very tough defense, and so I think that Zach Wilson is going to be the better play in this situation.
All right, Josh, let's go to some. If you're at this point in your running back game, you're certainly streaming. Maybe you've had some injuries. Maybe you're just desperate for love and affection. We've got Jaleel McLaughlin, the backup running back for the Denver Broncos, going up against Jaylen Warren in our start set. He is the backup running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know that Javonte Williams, the starter for Denver, has been ruled in or out either way yet. At least last time I checked. I guess it is Saturday morning, but he's questionable, I believe, going into the weekend, whereas Jaylen Warren, I think Najee Harris is healthy, just Jaylen Warren has been vulturing some volume thus far. So Josh, in a matchup here of backup running backs, who would you prefer?
Pass. No, I'm just kidding. I would say McLaughlin, just because he had a really solid week last week. I don't know if Javonte is going to be at full health, but I do think that I did read somewhere that McLaughlin's going to get some more usage, so I'm just going to go with that. Obviously, probably wouldn't want to play either of them, but if you had to, McLaughlin.
Sure. I guess. No, I will ultimately pick one name, but I think for me, Jaylen Warren seems to have like a much safer floor. So let's say this is you're just plugging in your RB2 and you're like, fuck, I just need this guy to get me 6 to 8 points this week, and I should be able to win my matchup. Like, this is probably the weakest link of your lineup. Jaylen Warren so far, his snap share is somewhat, I guess it technically has consistently rose. He started week 1 with 40% snap share, then 43, then 45, then 49. So, he's within 10% of when the season started. I guess it has gone up, 10% over the 4 weeks there. But he's never had more than 8 attempts. His yards per carry has never been more than, 3.6. Where he really seems to get some value is PPR. He's had 6 targets in 3 out of 4 games, and then the other game he had 4 targets. Last week he had 6 receptions, so in a full PPR format, Jaylen Warren looks to be very, not useful is the right word, but very, we'll go with useful, fuck it. He's definitely sneaking some full PPR points right there, so I think he is the safer floor. But I am going to ride with you. I think Jaleel McLaughlin certainly has the higher ceiling. Last week he was able to get 17.9 points and half-point PPR, 72 rushing yards, 3 receptions, and a receiving touchdown. I did look up Javonte Williams is questionable with his hip injury going into week 5, so I'll ride with you with the higher ceiling with Jaleel McLaughlin. But Jaylen Warren, as an RB2, has a decently safe floor. Moving on here, Josh, to some depressing wide receiver options.
No, I do this one. Remember, we're doing every other. I did quarterback, you did running back. Now I'm doing wide receiver, so you pick first, and then I look like the copycat if you pick who I want.
Well, you were letting dead air exist, Josh, just trying to keep the show moving.
It's called suspenseful sound, Gar. Moving on to wide receivers, we've got wide receivers. Let's just say that you've got Cooper Kupp, or well, maybe not because he's coming back, but let's just say you've got a couple wide receivers that are hurt, or maybe you drafted Josh Gordon hoping that this is when he made his comeback. And so we've got Jamison Williams versus Carolina making his comeback. versus Allen Robinson versus Baltimore. Allen Robinson has been playing, but he hasn't been getting volume. They're hoping to turn that offense around, maybe actually score some points as opposed to let the defense do all the work. But Gar, who you got?
Well, as I like to prepare for this start sit segment, I always like to pull up the tail of the tape, and then I pull up the fucking tail of the tape of Jameson Williams, and you obviously see nothing because of the fucking suspension, as mentioned. This jabron was betting on, I think, other sports, which is why he was able to get off his suspension versus betting on football. So he's back in action. Amon-Ra St. Brown, doubtful. Allen Robinson, though, also pretty doubtful. He's had at least an 80% snap share in all 4 weeks so far. He has gained no production in the absence of Deontay Johnson. So Allen Robinson, I don't know, he fell off at the Bears, fell off at the Rams, and he has not looked the same since Mitch Trubisky was his quarterback, funny enough. And Jameson Williams also is questionable for week 5. The guy's coming off suspension. I mean, there's no guarantee he's even active. But with that said, if he's active, I'll take Jameson Williams just for the upside, because Allen Robinson is proving he doesn't even have a safe floor. Like Jaylen Warren was at least going to get you 5 to 12 fantasy points, depending, especially if you're in your full PPR. Allen Robinson is getting 1 reception. He got 1 reception last week. 2 receptions week 2. His best week was week 1, where he had 5 receptions for 64 yards, and he's had less than 25 yards the last 3 weeks. I'm rocking with Jameson Williams just for the sheer, please be better than garbage.
Yeah, that's who I was going to go with. So, like I said, you had to go first so I could be the copycat this time. Jameson Williams versus Carolina. If he plays, obviously, if he doesn't play, then we're stuck with Allen Robinson, but we just watch this anyways, because honestly, if Jameson Williams doesn't play, picking Allen Robinson, you're not guaranteed to get positive points anyways. So, we roll the same on this one just because of that upside. They might want to get him going early. I do think that last year when he came back from his injury, his first catch was a touchdown. That might have been his only catch, but so yeah, they might want to get him going early. Plus that team is going firing on all cylinders, so who knows?
He does have 1 career touchdown, and that 1 career touchdown is versus the Vikings. Shout out. I will move on here, Josh, and I don't know if we mentioned at the beginning, but the reason some of these matchups or some of these players are so depressing is, Josh, I know you're really going through it in the Champs League. It's because we're in the bye week, side weeks, dude. Week 5 hit hard with some good teams with some good players. I know the Bucks are out, the Chargers are out, and some other teams I can't even think of right now. But when we're in the bye weeks and the side weeks, sometimes you're desperate just to pick someone up and plug them in. Plenty of people don't think about bye weeks. I know some of the more casual players care more about bye weeks than some of the tryhards like Josh and I. So I generally don't know who's on what bye week until I get to that week and go, oh fuck, I'm missing 7 starters. This isn't good this week. But that's why some of these choices are so depressing, because some people are scrounging just to get players in their lineups. With that said, Josh, we'll move on here to the start sit tight end. We'll see if we remain in agreement this category. We have Taysom Hill, the tight end for the New Orleans Saints at New England, or we have Tyler Higbee, the tight end for the Los Angeles Rams versus Philadelphia. So one's at home, one's on the road. Josh, what are we feeling in this depressing tight end matchup?
I'm going to go with Taysom Hill at New England, solely for the fact that he's a gadget player and can be used in multiple ways. I do think Tyler Higbee has the more favorable matchup, but Taysom Hill is, like I said, that utility tool.
Yeah. I mean, finally, we're going to have some disagreement. I'll go with Tyler Higbee here, just to go over the tail of the tape a bit. Taysom Hill, he has had no more than 2 targets in the game, and he has had no more than 9 receiving yards in the game so far. He is just not being used. His biggest week was week 2. And I can't even scroll over to see his passing stats right now, so that's sick. If I do the control shift, no, okay. Yeah, so I can't even see his passing stats, but I'm guessing he may be snuck in for a passing touchdown or a rushing touchdown. I can't scroll at all on Sleeper right now. But yeah, Taysom Hill has not been used at all this year. Tyler Higbee, he is currently tight end 10. Might surprise some people, at least in half-point PPR. He's had 90% snap share. He is the far and away starter there in Los Angeles. Bryce Hopkins is backup, a guy I've never heard of. I think Tyler Higbee also just got broken off on like a 3-year contract. I'm guessing that contract is extremely hollow, but I was excited to see this guy get his bag. Last week he had 11 targets, 5 receptions for 64 yards. Week 3 he had 5 receptions for 71 yards. So Tyler Higbee certainly seems to be on the upswing. Matt Stafford appears to be healthy enough to be making things work. So I'm definitely going to take Tyler Higbee here, and I'm going to steal some points from Josh here in our little game that we don't really care about. It seems like of all the games we play, we care about this one the least, but I'm going to be stealing some Higbee points from here, Josh. Suck it, nerd.
Moving on to the flex spot. See?
Oh, so suspenseful.
Suspenseful sound. Moving on to the flex spot, we've got Kendrick Bourne versus Nolans, Tyjae Spears at Indy, or DJ Chark at his former team, Detroit.
This one's interesting. Kendrick Bourne, the wide receiver for New England, he had a good week 1. He had 11 targets for 6 receptions, 64 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Arguably might be his best week of the year, just getting in the end zone twice. Since then, he's had 4 receptions, and 2 receptions. His targets have been going down 9.53 as well. Kendrick Bourne appears to be on the downswing for whatever reason. Maybe he was just feeling that Devontae Parker role. I think Devontae Parker might have missed week 1. I can't remember, but I could also just be completely making that up. Either way, Kendrick Bourne is on the downswing. Tyjae Spears is sitting behind Derrick Henry as a running back for the Titans. So he has. They've seen that he's had 50% snap share in 3 out of 4 games, so he's on the field. He's just not nearly as productive. And DJ Chark, he's a bit of a yo-yo. Missed week 1, week 2 he only had 2 points. Week 3 he had 16.5 points, and then last week against the stout Minnesota defense, he couldn't even put up 4 points. Fucking loser. If I'm looking for a floor play, If I'm looking for a floor play, I'm taking Tyjae Spears. Again, he's getting that 50% snap share 3 out of 4 weeks. He's going to get some carries. They're not going to be as effective, but Tyjae Spears is probably going to get you somewhere between 4 to 8 fantasy points, which doesn't sound like a lot, doesn't sound sexy, but if you're desperate for a player because you're on bye week or whatever, he's going to get a couple receptions. He's going to get, I'm going to guess, 25 to 45 rushing yards. Tyjae Spears is the floor play, and I don't think DJ Chark or Kendrick Bourne has enough of a ceiling to entice me, so I'm going to stick with the floor play this time and go with Tyjae Spears. Josh, what are you feeling?
I'm feeling like our matchup this week is going to come down to that tight end position, because that's exactly who I was leaning. Tyjae Spears. He's got that upside. He's that more explosive player on this list. His usage is minimal, but it is there. I do think that he is, his usage is more so out of the backfield as a pass catcher. But even with his minimal role, it's still more than the other two have shown to give me a little bit of the comfies in my tummy.
All right, well, how exciting. I do have a bonus start sit because I did not have a bust of the week for our next segment, so I will go ahead and give my bonus start sit because this is a legitimate decision I have to make this week. It's in one of my leagues. I snuck in Aaron Jones last week, and I was really depressed about it. He was apparently on some sort of snap count. I don't know. I should have paid more attention. I knew he was coming off injury, but I knew the Packers were also desperate for some running back production because A.J. Dillon is just not it. And so, Josh, I guess technically I could also put A.H.N. in here, but I'm definitely starting him. So right now my start sit for my flex, because Amon-Ra St. Brown is also out, I'm looking at either Aaron Jones, running back for the Green Bay Packers, playing at Las Vegas on Monday night, or Travis Etienne, running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars, playing at Buffalo on Sunday morning in London. So I guess it's at London, at Buffalo, so to speak. I guess Miles Sanders could also be a start sit option. I assume you would choose between Aaron Jones and Travis Etienne, but if you really care, Miles Sanders, I guess, is technically also an option in this list. But who would you start sit, Josh? Aaron Jones, Travis Etienne, or Miles Sanders, I guess?
Yes. No. So who was Travis Etienne playing again? I
They're
forget
playing
Buffalo
in London.
That offense has been anemic. Aaron Jones, he was on that snap count last week. That's a tough call. That's a good bonus start sit, Gar.
I'm trying. We can't just agree every time. I'm trying to give us some content here, Josh.
I am going to go with the guy who has the cool sunglasses, Aaron Jones. He has a sombrero. He was on that snap count last week. There's a rumor that A.J. Dillon is available for trade, so maybe they'll sit him so then he doesn't lower his trade value even further. And so Aaron Jones is going to be the guy that I go with, mainly because I have him in another league and I'm hoping he goes off. Or I have him in a couple leagues and I hope he goes off. So that's who I would lean on that route.
Yeah, Aaron Jones is currently who I have slotted in to start. Obviously, it's tough because one of those, my two players that I'm deciding on the start sit, one plays 8:30 on Sunday and one plays, Monday night. So it's not like I can kind of decide last second. I have to kind of have that locked in. But I am leading towards Aaron Jones. He's obviously missed 2 weeks, and last week he basically missed another week. But he did have 25 points, almost 26 points in half-point PPR in week 1. So I'm hoping, since Las Vegas is the worst defense of the 3 players I listed because Miles Sanders was playing the Lions, I'm hoping that Aaron Jones can pop off a bit here. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, Aaron Jones is the guy I currently have slated into my lineup. We will move on then, Josh. As I alluded to it, I do not have a FanDuel Bust of the Week or a DFS Bust of the Week, so I will let you go ahead and just talk about who you think will be a bust this week and why.
So I have Saquon Barkley coming off injury, high ankle sprain. They say he may play. He's at Miami, so the matchup is very favorable for him. But I do think that with how that offensive line is missing some everybody, Daniel Jones has been struggling. It's going to be more of a stack the box and play some one-on-one type plays just to stop Barkley. Yes, he can get some passes out of the backfield. He is 8,800. I believe he's like the 4th or 5th highest player for a flex spot. And so while it's a favorable matchup, I got the wishy-washies on getting him in my lineup in that just for that price and his injury status. So even if it is that favorable matchup, now if you have him and it's like in a regular league and you're not spending the money for a FanDuel thing, obviously you got to play him just because of that. But I'd be a little bit hesitant paying that 8,800 for him.
Sure.
So maybe not a bust of the week, but maybe it's more of a cautious.
Sure, he probably might not be worth the price necessarily. He'll put up maybe 12 points, but for 8,800, could that money be better spent?
Yeah.
And for the record, the reason I don't have a DFS Bust of the Week is because I'm just looking at all the because for people that don't know, we already have some bye weeks. We have a Sunday morning game, and so we have a very limited number of games that go into the DFS. It's only the noon games and the 3 o'clock games, and so the noon games are Houston, Atlanta, Carolina, Detroit, Tennessee, Indiana, Giants, Miami, New Orleans, New England, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. So there's not really a lot of stout defense on that list so far. There's a couple good ones. New Orleans, arguably the best defense that I listed there so far, maybe then Detroit. And then the 3 o'clock games are Cincinnati, Arizona, Philadelphia, Los Angeles Rams, Jets, Denver, and then KC, Minnesota. So there's really, again, there's not a high list of like stout defenses, Philadelphia being the best, and the Jets in the second slate. So it's just like, how many people are even going to bust this week? Not that many. Maybe you could argue Cortland Sutton or something, but Cortland Sutton's probably like a $6,500 player, so is it worth calling him a bust at that lower price? Probably not, at least the way I play FanDuel, which I've never won, so what the fuck do I know? But that's why I don't have a bust this week, Josh. But I'll use that to transition. We've still got a couple minutes here. We can talk about some potential matchups this Sunday. We already talked about the Packers who are playing the Raiders on Monday night, so Josh, you can potentially completely enjoy your Sunday knowing that you don't have to watch your team struggle or succeed until Monday night. So any of these Sunday matchups you're excited for that I listed off there? We've got another London game, so you can have wall-to-wall football on Sunday. Otherwise, what are you looking forward to as far as matchups go?
Well, yeah, wall-to-wall. Wonderwall. I do look forward to watching the games. I do know that with all the fantasy leagues I'm in, I'm guaranteed to go up against some guys that I'm playing on my team. And you gotta love when on Thursday night you have somebody on the bench that puts up nearly 50 points in full point PPR, and you're going against them in a league. but at the same time, I hope to enjoy the week, the weekend of sports. I try to, so I don't have the fancy setups where I can watch multiple games at once. So as I alluded to in the Discord, I get to watch the game cast on my phone as well as whatever game's on TV. And while you're watching that game cast on the phone, you get all those fantasy updates. And so that's where all my depression comes from. But it keeps me humble.
You got to do the flip script of that, Josh. You got to stop watching a fan. What did you call it? A fan? What was it? What cast? Gamecast.
Gamecast.
You got to stop watching the Gamecast. You got to go on one of those pirate sites. Yark. Put on your pirate hat. Grab an eye patch and do a stream of Red Zone, dude. That's the secret. That'll be the opposite experience. I mean, I guess it could, unless people are scoring against you. But you want to see all the action. You want to see all the excitement. You got to be watching Red Zone, Josh. That is how you'll get some excitement going. Get the fucking Gamecast out of there.
So I have tried to do that with the Reddit streams and whatever, but So I tried to do that for the Packers game when they played a couple weeks ago against the Saints, I believe, and it didn't work. Like, I tried almost every single link on there and it would not work. And so I just gave up, and it's too much of a hassle to bring my monitor and my Surface upstairs, or my Surface upstairs just to watch it on that. And so, yeah, I just said screw it. And so, yeah, football season's over.
Okay, well, that's your choice, I guess. Vikings play KC. You think the Vikings have any sort of shot, Josh, playing against Kansas City? They looked a little bit weak against one of the best defenses in the league, so I don't know that they were necessarily looking weak at all. But people were poking some holes in KC after they seemed to struggle against the Jets, even though they got the dub. Do the Vikings have any shot? It is a home game. I believe the Chiefs are coming to U.S. Bank for the first time. How do you feel about that?
Well, there's nothing more intimidating than 65, 70,000 fans learning how to clap at the same time. And so when they enter that third quarter stretch into the fourth quarter, and they, bring out the person in the middle of the field and goes, "Okay, everybody, put your hands together. This is how you clap." And then they start going, "Skull, skull," to kind of keep that rhythm going. I think that at that point, that's when Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes and, all of those nerds, they're going to be like, "Oh my goodness, we are playing the team from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We should probably let them score." So the fourth quarter comeback for Kirk Cousins is a very high possibility. So yeah, when he puts up his...
solve the puzzle. Go tuck yourself in.
You got it.
So when Kirk Cousins comes out there and puts up his 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, hopefully to Justin Jefferson, because I need all the points I can to come back against DJ Moore and without a second kicker. And yeah, it's brutal in the Champions League for me this week. But 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, Justin Jefferson, to bring it to within 3 scores. That's probably what's going to be.
All right. Well, we'll just leave it there. We can end a little bit early today by a couple minutes, even though we started late. So I guess in that time, Nikita's still mad. She's waiting on Josh to what? What do you guys do Saturday morning? Go shopping, right? Something like that?
Yeah, grocery shopping. But I'm going to go pull a Lamar real quick.
You're gonna excuse me one more time?
Pull a Lamar.
But you got to go poo, dude?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Josh, we appreciate you. Sorry the start sits aren't as exciting this week, folks, but hopefully you can gain some content in your bye week, side weeks here, and we appreciate everyone listening, and we will go ahead and see you on Tuesday evening around 7:30, where Josh and I will be doing some buying and some selling. If you want us to buy or sell a player you care about, let us know in the chat, and we will give you our hard-hitting analysis. Until then, we love you, and see you Tuesday night. Bye, Josh.
Yeah, maybe if they want some better start sits, they should submit their own. We should do a marketing push.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Go Packers. I'm just trying to get the notes set up.
Look what the cat dragged in.
Meow, 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 meow.